This is a relatively quick one, but I think this is an important one. So here's the new policy. New policy dropped from Marco Rubio. Catch and revoke means zero tolerance for visa holders. Now, this policy was announced some weeks ago, but he formalized it here in a newsletter and social media post. And we're going to get into this a little bit because this is in the news right now. The Trump administration has a tough new message for foreigners in the United States. One strike and you're out. Foreign nationals visiting or living in the country legally, once again, I've said this whole distinction between legal and illegal immigration is a red herring. They actually don't care. Could lose their visa status if they run afoul of the law under the new unforgiving so-called catch and revoke policy announced by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So yes, this tweet came out of the State Department. A visa is a privilege, not a right. Visa holders who break U.S. law are being held accountable. Read more about 100 Days of America First State Department. That's right. At their Substack, they have a newsletter now, which we'll get more into in a minute. The policy, originally announced April 30th in a newsletter authored by Rubio, suggests it will pursue immigrants convicted of criminal activity, including domestic violence and assault. But the policy announcement didn't specify the spectrum of crimes that could result in a visa revocation, and immigration experts questioned how it might be implemented given the Trump administration's far-reaching crackdown. Well, that is some crackerjack journalism by the USA Today, because it actually says right under the paragraph which touts this policy that it will apply to who? Thousands of foreign students studying in the United States who abuse our hospitality. And then it goes on to describe, of course, the anti-Semitic student protesters protesting against Israel. So USA Today say, hey, they say it's only going to apply to violent criminals, but who knows? It could go further than that. Literally right under the paragraph in the newsletter that they cite, where it says the State Department has now made clear that a visa is a privilege, not a right. Says this extends to foreign students. Now, of course, they have talked about deporting pro-Palestine students in the past, right? David Beer, director of immigration studies at the Libertarian Cato Institute, called the new policy absurd and contrary to U.S. immigration law. Wealthy, skilled people with other options will not settle in a country where their lives can be ruined for a speeding ticket or operating an illegal lemonade stand, he said in a post on X. I mean, I don't know if a brain surgeon is going to be opening an illegal lemonade stand, but the first example is a good one. Like, yeah, who's going to make a home here where an offense that gets you arrested could have your whole life upended? Like, of course, this is meant to deter people from coming. It's meant to deter all immigrants from coming. Rubio said the State Department, under his leadership, has now made clear that a visa is a privilege, not a right. Most recently, the administration aggressively targeted student visa holders who have protested Israel's war in Gaza or voiced pro-Palestinian views. Students with minor violations, including traffic infractions, have also seen their visas terminated. So once again, who is going to come here? The only reason you would pass this is if you don't want people to come and live here.
Even to go to school. Like,
Exactly.
why would you? What student is going to apply to an American university after hearing this?
Yeah, who would come here if your whole life could be upended if you get a traffic ticket? This is why I'm telling you, this whole thing of, well, we want immigrants, we just want legal immigrants. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you could be thrown out for a traffic ticket, then you don't want legal immigrants. They strip student visas from people for speeding tickets, said Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, senior fellow at the American Immigration Council, in a post on X. Now they're suggesting they'll do the same to everyone. The administration in late April reversed its decision to cancel the visas of hundreds of foreign students nationwide after students and their supporters filed numerous court challenges. Yes, that was a victory in the courts over these, of course, absurd efforts. But yeah, this just puts a total lie to the whole claim, well, we want you to come, we just want you to come legally. In addition to that, let's say these factories that you are promising will spring up out of the ground after these tariffs come into effect. Let's say they do spring up out of the ground. Let's just say, which is, of course, completely insane and absurd.
Like chia pets.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But let's just live in an absolute fantasy world and say, yeah, we're going to have the factories built in no time. Who do you think's going to have to work those factories for a couple years? Immigrants. Like, if you don't have immigrant labor for the factories, like, you can't replace that workforce with our workforce as it currently stands now. That's not happening. That wasn't happening in Springfield, Ohio. That's why they brought the Haitians in, because the guys at the factory said, yeah, we hire the Americans to work these jobs, and they don't last. They don't last a month. So we brought immigrants in. So it's just completely absurd and counterproductive on purpose. And the distinction between legal and illegal
that's what the
means
white
nothing.
Afrikaners are for.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yes, that's what the Afrikaners are for. Yes, but it gets worse than that. It gets worse than that because, like I said, there has been reporting on this for over a month now, knowing that this was coming. And so this is from, I believe, March 6th. Axios has a scoop. State Department to use AI to revoke visas of foreign students who appear pro-Hamas. So what did I tell you? I said this whole thing is about manufacturing consent for a police state. The immigrants are simply the scapegoat that they need to get people on board with building a police state. The American people, especially the MAGA base, which can be an ornery lot, they are not going to be okay with AI systems being developed to surveil them. So no, we're going to turn it on the immigrants and the visa holders, and trust us, it's going to stop there, right? That's what this is about here. Why it matters. The effort, which includes AI-assisted reviews of tens of thousands of student visa holders' social media accounts, marks a dramatic escalation in the U.S. government's policing of foreign nationals' conduct and speech. The reviews of social media accounts are particularly looking for evidence of alleged terrorist sympathies expressed after October 7th. Officials plan to examine internal databases to see whether any visa holders were arrested but allowed to stay in the country during the Biden administration. They say they're also checking news reports of anti-Israel demonstrations and Jewish students' lawsuits that highlight foreign nationals allegedly engaged in anti-Semitic activity without consequence. The State Department is working with the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security in what one senior state official called a whole of government and whole of authority approach. So, yes, there you have it. There you have it. They are turning the AI surveillance tools on the immigrants first because that's how they get you, the idiot, not you in the audience, but generally you, the American idiot, to go along with it and say, yeah, good. Track them down. Kevin O'Leary comes on TV and says, we have facial recognition systems. We have AI systems that'll find out who you are and penalize you. So who are they turning that on first? The immigrant and the student protester. And a lot of student protesters are immigrants and visa holders, so they are especially targeted by this. But the whole immigration crackdown is a tool to manufacture consent for the erection of a surveillance state. That's what I've been saying for months. I mean, Whitney Webb writes about this too. How do you get people to volunteer for an AI surveillance state? You can't pitch it, well, we're going to use it to track your every move. Nobody's going to go for that in this country. No, we're going to track the immigrants' every move. Those illegal immigrants, those visa holders, those anti-American foreigners who come here and exploit our generosity. We're going to have the state's eye on them. That's how they build it. Once it's built, the eye goes on you. And it's too late to do anything about it because you already let them build it.
Yeah, well, they just pushed finally after 20 years to have the Real ID go into effect. That's exactly the kind of thing that the people who make up the MAGA base would lose their mind over.
Right.
If it happened under President Harris.
Oh, forget it.
They're going to track you. They're going to put a chip in you. It's going to be biometric, which some people are saying now. But it's not them. It's not that. Fucking Breaking Point's talking about that. So I'm serious. Should Alex Jones be talking about the Real ID?
Have Kyle come on. They're going to put a chip in your skin, dog.
Yeah, I'm serious. No, they did. They did a segment on it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
They did about the dangers of Real ID. being a backdoor way of introducing digital tracking. And actually, I don't think that's the wrong take. I think that's probably true. But where's this anti-government MAGA movement that's at the forefront of trying to shut down the New World Order? That's where Trump more and more looks like he got himself a little McDonald's baggie,
Right.
slapped
Yeah,
it on his
exactly. Yeah.
ear, because everything the New World Order was supposed to be about, that all of these Trump voters were supposed to be against, they're all just bending over and taking it now. How
Yep.
else could you have done that?
Yep. You will own nothing and be angry.
Yep.
You will own nothing and be aggrieved. You will own nothing and feel aggrieved. That's their New World Order slogan.
Please clap.